Hello, and welcome to the Early Bird Special with Carol Montgomery and Julia Scotti. And now, here's Carol Montgomery. Hello, everybody. Hi. Um, I know that you knew that was me chatting because my announcer slash husband slash boy toy is out today. He is playing baseball, so softball. So because it's in a beautiful day here in New York City, so everybody is outside. Nobody's wearing masks. We're gonna get another surge. Woohoo! Anyway, so yes, so we're here, and so that was me doing it now uh, uh, because I don't have my husband here, and that's he has one job, one fucking job, right? And he's off. I don't pay him. I just give him that love. So you might notice that I'm in a different room now. I'm actually in my bedroom, and I kind of try to put some beautiful lights around it. So because we were having all these problems. I don't know if it's because I'm closer to the internet in my office. I don't really know what's going on, but uh, so yeah, so that's what's happening. So you get to see my bedroom. We have done some spring cleaning in the last few weeks. And one of the things we found, my husband loves to go through all the old pictures we have. So he's showing me pictures, pictures I haven't seen in years, and so there's a lot of pictures of me in my 20s. So and it made me realize something, and I'm curious what the other women who are watching think about this, but I looked at the picture and I was like, wow, I was not a bad looking woman. I was a good looking chick. But when I was that age, I never thought I was. I think women, especially in their early 20s, except possibly for the Kardashians, have such low self esteem. And so it was really interesting because I wish I could go back to that girl and say to her, you know what? You're actually quite adorable and your thighs aren't that big. So wear the bikini. You'll be happy. So much is going on in our world, and Julia and I have a tons to talk about. Well, I do want to, before I bring on Julia, discuss the fact that the whole Cuomo situation, because we used to do that little game. Which Cuomo would you sleep with? That's ironic, isn't it? Let me just say this about. I think that any sexual harassment against women, of course, is um, should be investigated, and if he is found guilty, then the appropriate measures should be taken. But let me also say that in the same vein, that has to do with regardless of your political party. And for the past 4 years, as we all know, we had a serial predator in the White House. And there are people in Congress right now on the other side of Cuomo who also have allegations. But yet, the only news is about Cuomo. So I want to talk to Julia about that and think what she thinks because I know what my view is. Okay, before I bring her on, let me just say that I cannot wait to bring on our guest, Ophira Eisenberg, who I've known forever, and we both look amazing. It's amazing. We don't age. We look so good. I will be bringing Ophira out in a few minutes. She's in our green room. You know her from NPR's Ask Me Another. She's an amazing author. I love the her first book, and of course I'm messing it up. But she'll tell us the title because I'm old and I don't remember. I did actually write it down, but who can find the paper? Remember, I said I was spring cleaning, so my husband and I are literally going through bags of stuff. Going, where'd you put this? Thank God I remembered to keep my medications in some place I could remember. So let me bring on my fabulous friend Julia Scotti, and we will have a little discussion about the little Cuomo incident. So here, hello, darling.
Hello. Believe it or not, the son of the serial predator has the unmitigated gall to put out a tweet condemning Governor Cuomo.
Wow.
And I was so angry because I wrote back, you live in a friggin' glass house, you hairy bastard. My fingers got all whacked out because I was so nervous that I accidentally hit the enter button and sent it before I got to finish it. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Well,
anyway.
So this is just me because I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist. I think this. I'm not saying that he didn't do it. I'm not saying that, but I think that somewhere down the line in this whole mob thing that we call the El Duce group, I think this reeks of Roger Stone.
Oh yeah. Oh, of course.
I think this so reeks of Roger Stone,
the
and
Penguin.
yeah, I think that they're trying to do a hit job because in their stupid minds. Now remember, these are the people that had a press conference in front of Four Seasons Landscaping, so they're not the brightest people in the tool shed,
and didn't know the difference.
right? But the fact that they think that because the Attorney General, Letitia James, has a huge investigation for El Duce, so they somehow must think that she can't multitask. So she's trying to investigate the governor, but she'll forget about the other shit. And it's like, I think she's a little smarter than that.
I think you're right. But we have big stuff going on, you and I.
Yes.
Let's talk about our stuff.
Okay.
Because that really, it's all that matters is our stuff.
Is our stuff. That is true. So, well, today, I don't know if you do this, but there's Google alerts, and I always I do Google alerts for funny women of a certain age and more funny women of a certain age, and I Googled it, and I don't even know if you know this part, but Spotify is actually going to premiere to air it. I think on the 23rd, they're airing the new album, which is basically the special, but Pandora is releasing it right now. So you can listen to us on Pandora right now. And
not right now. Wait till our show.
Show is over.
Yeah.
So that's so exciting. And then Julia's film is premiering tonight.
Julie Scotti Funny That Way. It's actually it's streaming now. You can go to Athena Film Festival. I think it's .org, but just look up Athena, like the goddess, like we are. Film Festival, and you can find it there. It's $12 to see the movie.
Wow.
Which is, where you can sit home and popcorn your underwear and watch that. For those of you who haven't seen it, though, who keep telling me, I missed it again. I can't, short of going to your house and setting up the Bell and Howell projector and showing it to you. This is, it's the last time I'm telling you. Go watch it.
You know what's so funny is I know exactly how you feel because people are always like, well, but when is it? And you're like, and then you tell them and then they go, oh, I can't make that. And
I don't have Showtime. Well, they ask you. It says, no.
Yeah. Oh, I remember people I think it was when I was in Vegas, and I think it was for my solo show, and there were people going, we want to get tickets for the show. We want to get tickets for the show. And so finally I left them tickets and they go, oh, we can't go that night. It was like, what the fuck was that about?
Oh yeah. That happened when I was on HET. There was somebody that was an old friend. She was in the band I was in when I was a kid, right? And she lived in Arizona. And I said, well, if you want, I'll get you passes for the taping, because it's in Pasadena. And she goes, all right, well, what time is it, the taping? I'm like, I don't know. I said, just go to the window and ask what time the tape. She goes, well, can you find out for me? I'm like, listen, my life is about to change in ways I can't even tell you. I really don't have time to, as much as I'd like to accommodate you. Right. People are like,
they're stu-nuts.
Mm-hmm. There you go, stu-nato. They are stu-nuts.
They're stu-nuts. And it just, and it's like, so let me take, because I run it full, steam all the time. So I have all my synapses. And I love when people go, can you just do, and I'm like, let me stop everything I'm doing because I have 8,000 things to do. But let me stop to help you. Like it would make it much easier if you could just do that. They're like,
my favorite are the critics. That's did I tell you the thing about the play? What happened with the play quickly? I'll do it real quick. The play, I put my life's blood into this play, right?
Right.
And I'll tell the audience right now, one of the characters dies in the play. So somebody said, well, I could see it coming. It was predictable. I was like, well, you know what? Death of a Salesman is predictable. It's right in the title. Death of a Titanic. You know how that's going to end. That's predictable.
Wow.
JFK. The movie.
Wow.
You know how that's going to end.
Yeah.
Oh my God. People are like,
Stunats.
Stunado. Yeah, they are. You like that word.
I do like that word. I do like. All right, let's bring on Ophira. I am so excited about this young lady. I met her when I first moved back to New York, which was 15 years ago, and I just adore her. And in the meantime, always you just see, you run into people all the time in the clubs and everything. She's gone on to become the host of NPR's Ask Me Anything. I hope I'm saying that title right. And she's an accomplished author. She's a speaker. She's a mom. Let's bring her on. Let's talk to her. Let's see what's happening. Hold on. Hello, darling.
Hi, Hi. How's it going? Hi. I know. Very enthusiastic. Sorry.
Do you know Julia? Have you guys met before?
We only met once.
You remember where we met?
So in my mind, I was actually trying to figure it out, and I want to put Adam Sank in the mix, but I don't know if that's right. Was it? No. Okay, you tell me.
Greenwich Village Comedy Club.
Wow.
I was just coming back. I was just starting to come back, and I was doing spots there, and you went up. I think I had to follow you, or something like that.
So funny because I put us in the Village. But I went 2 blocks over and 1 avenue up.
Yeah, you were close.
So I just had to walk back down in my mind.
You got a good memory, though. That's great. Yeah. That's really
she does have a
we
great
didn't
memory.
We didn't really even talk.
Well, there's nowhere to talk there.
I know. And we just sort of waved,
It's like the backstage, as we all know, no New York clubs have the green room. I watched
in the
Punchline when I was a kid, and I was always like, a locker. Yeah.
They have lockers downstairs.
They have lockers.
Yeah. They have it downstairs.
Right.
Like they're going to put on jerseys and stuff, but they did put on their jackets.
The only place that ever had that was Dangerfields, where you went downstairs into the little tiny smoke-filled drug room. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
right.
But that's so funny that you said the thing about the lockers we back in the day, in the early 80s, when you did TV, you got great gifts. Like I have a Laugh Factory jacket, and I have a Comic Strip Live jacket, and all, and different mugs.
Are you kidding?
No, and then they also gave us whatever the 80s version of the iPod was, and it was such a big deal. Like from one of the shows, you got like this little, I threw it out because of course it didn't work. But it is interesting that people do think that you watch Punchline and you're like, oh, they've got a team.
And you get the Tonight Show after 18 months of the business.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So, the only swag I have, and I was just cleaning things up, as we all do. I don't know. I'm cleaning things up. You were talking about your husband going through old photos and stuff like that.
Yes.
For me, it's small apartments, so I'm constantly like, what can we get rid of? And I came across the one and maybe only time, but maybe I've been there twice at the Thefriars Club in New York. But I think maybe only once. On the way out, they gave me a watch. I don't know if they were just like, they found a box of watches and they were like, get rid of these by the end of the night.
This watch belonged to Jack Carter.
But I have this watch. It doesn't work, but it's. I have a watch.
Were you performing there, or did they just?
Yes.
Here's a watch.
On the way out, I just said thank you to everyone, and the guy who was right at the door, I said, thank you so much. And he said, this is for you, and gave me this thing. And I left and I opened it up and I was like, it's a watch.
That guy's name is Bob Mayetta. Mayetta, I think his name. Bob Mayetta?
I think so.
Yeah.
He's a really, really nice man. I did a couple of shows there. I didn't get shit. I didn't get a watch. I
don't know why. I didn't get any laughs, but I got a watch.
Which is better.
That is one of the toughest rooms to do. Do you know what I mean? It is such a hard room. I remember I did a show there, and there was a guy who was like 107 right in the front row. And I'm up there, I'm just starting, and I'm really high energy. And I literally leaned over to him and I went, please don't die. And that, of course, broke up the rest of the audience. So
Right.
I was able to get them. But when you walk up, you just feel like and I'm 60, I'm going to be 63. Like they're looking at you like, you whippersnapper.
So,
Yeah.
you know, it's so funny you say that because I had that exact same experience. And I remember I did have an in, but it was like, it was about 2.5 minutes into my 6-minute set or whatever. And I, I've been at it for a while and I was sweating. Like I was profusely I felt like an amateur again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you
Yeah.
kind of do. You walk through that place, and it's like, it's just, I don't know. For me, it really, it just impacts me. I'm looking around. I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
this is everything I ever dreamed about as a kid. This is it. This is like where Danny Thomas went when he told Kathy Williams that he was going to the club, going to
Yes.
the Friars. You know, this is
Right.
this is the fucking Friars. You know?
Right.
Right. And even though like, it might all be bullshit, basically, they
Sure.
still, everyone in like you, I walked in and I was like, it's just a place and it's just a thing and who cares? But everyone kind of agrees. Everyone there kind of agrees to that, like that feeling and the tone. Like I
Yeah.
feel like every single person in the audience is like, no, do you know where you are? And I'm like, I guess I don't know where,
church. No, it's a
Yeah.
cathedral. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
you walk, you're in the Milton Berle room. You're in the, you're in Jack Benny. That's Jack Benny sat there. Get off that shit.
Well,
Yeah.
it's, and this leads me to my question for you, Ophira. I mean, it is also, it's been closed since the pandemic, since it started. So how are you doing? I saw you tweeted something about it might be your last virtual show. So are you excited? Because it looks like we're starting to go back to live.
Okay. I thought about this morning. So in general, would I like to perform live? I can't wait. I mean, it's what I love. It's what I get off
Right.
on.
Right.
It's, why I do this at all, to express that and get a reaction and make people laugh. But do I want to go back to how I did things before? Interesting. And I don't know if someone's going to coin it. I feel like I have some sort of Stockholm syndrome of quarantine, where I am afraid to leave it.
Right.
in
Oh, I
some
agree.
ways.
I agree with you. That's really a great way of saying it.
There is a safety to being in quarantine. There is that.
Yeah, and not to be like, I don't want to be jerkish about it, because obviously I am like alive and I have potentially the option to perform again. So those are two great things. But there's a lot of the measuring yourself stuff that I'm not looking forward to. There's a lot of the running around that I'm not looking forward to, don't want to do. There's some people that I don't mind that I didn't see for a year at all.
Well, in the same, it's so interesting that you said that, because we've gotten very, very, comfortable in our own little bubbles. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? And so it is very, like you like, I feel like the first time I go on stage and where it's inside, I'm going to be like this, like looking in, like, hello. Because I'm going to be, I think, Julia, you're fully vaccinated, right?
This Saturday will be my second shot.
Right.
Ooh.
And I know you're getting one soon too, right, Ophira?
Tomorrow will be my first.
Right.
Yay.
And I'm getting my second. So we will be fully vaccinated to go back in.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people. I wanted to bring this up with you too. My son sends me this tweet because he's 29. He's friends with a lot of people who are either comics or they run in the same circle. And there's a comic right now that I will not name because I don't know him. He has COVID and he is doing open mics that are in the city.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I was just like, and my kid's like, because he's a Jew like me, he goes, Mom, be very careful. I'm like, honey, first of all, I'll be fully vaccinated. Number one. Number two, I bring my own mic. You don't have, plus, number three, and this is going to sound really shitty, we probably don't travel in the same circles. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be going to open mics in bars in all the way out in, Queens. But it is
a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's
Just
the
because I
equivalent
also
of
have
it's like unprotected sex. I mean, it's just you don't know what you don't know. You
Of
don't
course.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, without even like possibility of consent. But I also think like that, even with some of the outdoor shows, especially even in the summer when there were a lot of outdoor shows, park shows and and we had way less knowledge than we have now, and the vaccine was still very far in the horizon.
Yeah.
And I remember, some places they were like, oh, we kind of wipe off the mic, and before other places were just like, I don't know, use the mic. I don't, this is just what we have. And I remember thinking to myself, it's not the audience, because there was like a lot of how do we protect the audience, which I'm all for. But I was like, I'm worried about the comics. They're the loosey-goosey ones.
Yes, absolutely. But that's why, I mean, I suggest everybody, you can get for under $100, you can get a cheap
That's so
mic.
smart. I'm doing that immediately.
Yeah,
because,
I got mine. Yeah.
But this was before I
know.
this. Let's be honest. How many times have we all gone on stage and smelled the mic going, what did somebody do with this mic?
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I'm happy for COVID, is that we finally can clean, we'll have clean mics.
I gotta. I want to switch gears for a second. If I don't say hello to you from this person, she'll be pissed off with me.
Okay.
It just hit me in the head. Susan Sandler. Remember Susan?
Yeah.
I spoke to her this morning, and she said, "Be sure to tell her hello." And I was like, "All right."
Oh,
so I'm saying
nice.
hello.
How's she doing?
She's doing good. She's the one that produced the movie on my life, the documentary.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Yeah. So, Small World, huh?
Yeah, she's
That's
a great
great.
lady. She's a great lady.
lady.
But she said, "Be sure to tell her," and I was like, "All right." And being as
that's
old
so
as I am,
nice.
I
So,
forget things.
Have you been doing Zoom shows, Ophira?
Doing a lot of Zoom shows. I mean,
How-
a lot, whatever. Some. I've been doing some.
How do you how do you feel about them?
So I would say I'm very eerily used to getting almost no feedback. So I think that's positive. Okay, I can say I'm an optimist when I talk to other people. Inside, it's very pessimistic, but when I talk to other people, so Zoom shows not perfect. I think it is. To think this is like a replacement for a live show, get that out of your mind. This is totally something different. There's lots to be done with it, but don't think that you're doing the same thing.
Right.
I think that I've done a few where they have like the right people not mic'd who are engaged in the show. And you know what? There's a feeling there sometimes where you're like, oh yeah, I have a little bit of pacing, but there's an audio pause always.
Delay,
so
that's the problem.
So you can't do these quick jokes where it requires something totally different. I will just do it now, like delivering a punchline where I lean into the camera because it's something.
It's all about technique. Yeah.
It's all about technique. Also, I mean, I do think you get to look at people's homes, which is endlessly fascinating and fun.
Yeah.
And, personally, one thing I will take away from it, I hope, other than being eerily used to not having any feedback, is that I'm a second guesser of myself. So when I walk into a comedy club or a venue and see what's going on in the show, I'll be like, my first thought will be like, these people are going to hate me. And I'll go with I'll watch the host or the other acts and I'll be like, oh, they like that kind of jokes. Oh, they're into kind of like this. Oh, this of mine won't work. Oh, that. And with a Zoom show, often there's just not enough feedback to make any of these assumptions.
Right.
So you just end up doing what you do. And I think that is like something I want to take away with me.
I have a question for you. I mean, we didn't know each other. I feel like now I know you real well, but
now we know each other.
Now we know each other. But I looked you up, and you have a degree in cultural anthropology.
Yes, that's right. That's right, my friends.
Well, I had to look up what cultural anthropology was.
Good.
As opposed to regular anthropology, but it's part of it's in the under the umbrella of anthropology. So you are kind of like the Margaret Mead of
if I should sell myself that way. That would be so
really
funny. I'm doing that from now on. The Margaret Mead of comedy.
So it's yours. But the question
So
I
funny.
had was like, I think at stand-up comics, we're all sort of anthropologists, don't you think? I mean, we studied
Absolutely.
human. But this particular situation with the quarantine presents a whole. It's almost, you could almost do a doctoral thesis on comedy during the pandemic as a. What's your take on anthropologically speaking?
From a cultural standpoint, well, let's first not ignore the colonial aspect that we are still trying to address. No, I mean, I guess from a cultural point of view, I mean, I think we got people into shows that have never seen comedy. I think people have gone into Zoom shows that have never seen comedy, maybe have never gone to a comedy show, because there's too many barriers of entry, where they live, whatever their situation is, just getting there. I think a lot of people have started comedy who would have never before because of because getting on stage might be another barrier that they have to deal with. Right. But there is something so intimate about this. I mean, this is, right now you have this show that is obviously can easily be an audio product, but that's what all Zoom shows are like. It is kind of like the visual, a visual podcast in terms of like how we are, just because it's really meant for one person. Mm-hmm. Right? A Zoom show is really just meant for one person. It's not really a crowd. Much like a podcast is just meant for one person's ears.
Right.
Wow. So I feel like there's this super intimacy of it that is just brand new. And that doesn't exist in any other performance thing. Like in a performance thing, you're dealing with a crowd. You're dealing with all those dynamics and just all the distractions. And you know how a crowd can all of a sudden be smart altogether and individually, Rhodes Scholars and together idiots. All of that.
That's a good point.
Zoom has none of that. Zoom has none of that.
That's a good point. I'm trying to figure out how this, these Zoom shows and this pandemic are going to change comedy forever, or at least, for the near long term anyway. I don't know if we're going to get them back in the clubs. It's like movies, you don't have to go to the movies anymore because you're seeing first run movies on, any number of streaming platforms.
I think I'm optimistic based on nothing. Based on no data, I am optimistic. And I think for a while, I think, Carole, like your son who is commenting about the comics, it is true. Right now, if you go do a terrace show in New York, you know what age is the oldest person? 32.
Right. Yeah, well, yeah. Exactly.
You did say terrorist, not terrorist.
Terrorist. But I think, honestly, I wish New York was just right now, just everyone who is 65 or plus, who is fully vaccinated, was just out there having a blast. Like it's their New York. Take it.
Well, it's what's interesting
you can
about
dine inside, go do everything
you want, have unprotected sex.
Yeah, go for
it. My son is interesting because he has he was a germaphobe before this. So I mean, he used to come when he was living with us. When we would go to the gym, he would wipe his phone down 2 years ago. Like he said, "Mom, that's the germiest thing on it." So he's not. He's very aware of it. So I'm waiting, like we're both going to be vaccinated, our second shot on the 20th. And we're going to see him after that. Cause it'll be like, we can see you. I'm hugging you. Stop it. But his friends, and that's what you're talking about. The people that are at the terror show, they're all out drinking and partying. They're dating. How do you fuck? What? So it's, I agree with you on the being optimistic. But Julia, I agree with you too. I don't know if people are going to come back to the clubs, like for example, the Greenwich Club, which is a sweet little room, but you can't social distance in a room like that. No. It's tiny.
No,
it's absolutely tiny. But one other thing, the movies opened in New York, the theaters.
Yeah.
And there are people going to the movies, so maybe they will come back to the clubs. I don't fucking know.
I think there'll be a novelty phase where it will just be like, hey, we can do this.
Yeah.
And then things will, I don't know, even out, change. I don't know after that.
The good news is that the warm weather is coming, so more social things will be done outdoors. And then, then
Definitely.
as the seasons change,
Right.
and the pandemic is dying off, hopefully by the fall, they'll be saying, well, you know what, let's, we did okay this summer. Let's go see,
I mean, and
comedy.
that's like kind of the other problem is that I think everyone has their own individual take on risk and what's safe. Like everybody's on a different page about this.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what has made the whole thing a failure.
Right. Yeah.
And it continues.
Yeah, but like my sister, she just got she got her second shot, and we were talking because her daughter is living in Puerto Rico right now, and I said, "Well, listen, once I get my shot, let's travel. Let's go to Puerto Rico, right?"
Yeah.
And she goes, "I'm not getting on a plane," and I went, "Okay." So,
I got to tell you, I will have my second shot Saturday, but I'm going on a plane on April the 9th, and I'm a little nervous, even though I'll be fully vaccinated by then. I mean, I'm whatever.
Because people are child jerks.
Yes, they are.
that was. I would prefer to say assholes, but go ahead.
I know. I always have a
prior to
moment where I'm
this,
like,
I would have eaten airport sushi, and it wouldn't have bothered me.
Right.
Now,
totally.
Now I'm really nervous about this flight. And it's a long flight too. It's not even like a short one.
You're going to Utah, right?
I'm going to Utah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'll be completely transparent with you. I had COVID in December.
Oh.
Thankfully, very mild.
Oh, sure. Now you tell us. Now you're on the show. You could infecting everybody on the show.
Yeah, I went. Yeah, exactly. I went nowhere. I did nothing, and I was quiet. And it was. I mean, my husband had it. My son had it. We all made it through relatively mild. Still, I would not wish it on anyone. But thank goodness it wasn't that bad. I mean, I do joke. I was like, isn't it amazing that we haven't had colds for a year? We got COVID, but we did not get any colds. And
so you still need a shot then, even though you
so the official thing is that you get it 90 days. You can get your shot 90 days after your
shots?
flat.
2? You got to get both?
Yes, I will get both. Yeah. So it has to be 90 days from your first symptom.
Okay.
You count. And that's the first time you can get your first vaccination.
Good.
That's what the current thinking is. So, but after that, I felt like in January, I was like, okay, I'm better and I have antibodies. So I did go on a short trip. I got on a plane with a mask and a shield and whatever. But I was like, I'm going to take this moment and have a little tiny break for 4 days. And the plane made me so mad, Julia. Like I knew I was going to be okay. And I was over cautious because I wasn't going to give anything to anyone. And I, in theory, had I had the antibodies, so I, in theory, couldn't get anything. Yet still, just watching people, they put their mask on, the flight attendant walks by, and then they put it under, and it's just like, what are you doing?
What are you, 10 years old? What are you
doing?
That's why I get so pissed at Texas. They should, put one of those electric dog fences around that state. And just seriously, if you're not going to wear the mask, you know what? Stay out of my state. Stay out of all the other ones that are compliant. We don't need you.
Yeah, maybe they've wanted to leave. It's time.
It makes me so angry. Makes me so bad.
But you know what it is, and this has to do with the previous administration, because if we had a leader that had said, you guys, if we had a leader that was an adult, for example, and we had gone, if we get like I always go back to New Zealand because I love the prime minister there, and she said we're locking it down, everything, we're locking it, and everyone, and they were I think they just recently had like one case in Auckland, and they shut the city down again. I mean, that's what you need. But when you, regardless of whether or not you were a fan of him or you hated him, when you have that in your brain, that it's not a big deal. Even the people that were not supporters of him, it's in the back of your fucking head. Not everybody who doesn't wear a mask voted for the asshole.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
can you imagine if he had just decided to be like, it's a war on COVID and buy my Make America Great Again masks.
Oh, yeah.
Can you
Oh,
imagine?
there'd be a statue of him,
Right.
God
He would
forbid.
have been reelected if he had handled this right. And
Yeah.
the reason he lost was because of this. And I still have people who were supporters of him going, this was a worldwide thing. It wasn't just his fault. I said, no, it was his fault for
My goodness.
America because he never took it seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing. That's the thing. So you get these people that don't wait. Like my husband used to play ball with a guy who the name of his softball team is called Deep State. So you know who he voted for. And we saw him. We literally saw him on the street, and he had a mask in his hand, and he's talking to Todd, and we're both wearing our mask and everything. And I literally almost said, "Listen, you fucking asshole, put on your goddamn mask." And they just don't, because they were told it's a hoax. It's a this. And look, when this first started, because you know how Facebook does the memories of from the year.
Oh yeah.
So one of the last shows I did, I posted that we had done. It was 400 people. It was packed. It was right during it. We were wearing masks, and we were sanitizing the mic and everything.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking, don't let the fear get to you. And then now, it's a year later and we go, oh, it was really bad.
Well, it's coming out of, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ophira.
Oh, no, please.
I'm here every week. You talk, go.
No, I was just going to say a friend of mine tweeted a tweet of his from a year ago that was basically like, okay, so they're telling us all to stay at home for a month.
I know, right? A month. It's just, like I'm 63. Like I always say that, I'm at the down slope of the roller coaster, but like, I feel bad for my son, like he lost a full year of staying at home. I mean, we all did, but when you're young like that, like your son is how old now?
5.
Oh God. So he probably won't even remember this.
I hope. I was thinking today, just in terms of the way we talk about our lives, and I was like, will it be wonderful to like hear my son as a 14-year-old or whatever say like, oh yeah, COVID-19. I don't know. I was really little. I don't remember that.
Oh my God.
People do that with 9/11. The kids are like,
Yeah.
But you know what? That just made me feel so good. Yeah. I hope that's what happens for your boy. I really do.
Right? That would be good.
Yeah, because for us, we're in the middle of it, and we're just like, and the thing that did you stay? So you did get it. So
yeah.
Do you know? Like I'm assuming you did.
How did I get it?
What do you think?
Well, I got it from my son. A mother always suffers. But I got it.
Nice one.
But he was the first one with symptoms, and we had so many tests that I know I have a timeline just because of the randomness of us getting tests. So we all were negative on Wednesday, and then because we had a test for his school, and then on Friday he had a fever, and so we went and got all tested again on Saturday, and he was positive, and we were negative. And then I remember that evening he was tired. He didn't have a fever anymore, but he was tired, and I was holding him. And he sneezed in my open mouth. And I was like, that's that. I mean, probably anyways, but I was like, that's definitely, there's no way around this.
Okay, so listen, so when he's 14 and he doesn't remember, you need to say to him, you fucking sneezed in my mouth and gave me COVID. You have to play that guilt. You have to.
Clean up your room. You sneezed in my mouth.
You could have killed me. I could have died from COVID.
Wow. Oh my God. Yeah. Children.
That's the ultimate guilt trip, man. That's great. And especially you can use that on your birthday. What, you got me slippers? You almost killed me.
I love it. And I know I can just see, I can actually see that scene in a movie. Just sitting there trying to comfort you, say that you're oh,
Oh, no, it's
mother.
like, oh,
But you know,
Oh,
it starts. The opening is with the kid. The kid's 5. He sneezes in your mouth, and then there's just the graphic goes up. 10 years later, you know, and there you are.
right. And he's just handing me presents, and I'm like, not good enough.
Not good enough. This is what you give me after trying to kill me.
you know, I
Yeah.
think when my son was about that age, he every so often would still try to sleep with us and everything. And I think I have a deviated septum for when he fucking like, you know how they
Oh.
sleep, they like this. And I think he knocked my nose. Seriously, people think, and I'm like, I bet you it's him. I bet
Yeah.
you he fucking did that to me. That little
Oh,
shit.
yeah. Oh,
That
yeah.
little fucking crew. So,
Yeah.
you know, we have 5 minutes left before we have to. This has been like wow. So, what would you? Is there anything you'd like to like? Let's talk about NPR. The NPR show. I mean, how long have you been doing that now? You've been doing that for.
Oh my God. I honestly, I was like, oh, it's been 4 years or something. And then it turns out it's been 8 years.
Wow.
It's been 8
Can I
years.
ask a question about it?
Yeah, sure.
Because that was on my list of questions I typed up today, and we got sidetracked. How did that develop? Was that your creation, or was that developed?
No, not at all.
NPR?
Yeah, so it was an idea from NPR,
Okay.
and it was actually very different from where it is now. But they really wanted to sort of get the feeling of like a pub trivia night,
Right.
but on the radio. That was like the general idea. But I auditioned.
Okay.
Wow.
And just, I always like telling the story because you all know, because you are professional comics, that you never know who's going to get you your next job,
Mhm.
right? And sort of like be nice to everybody you work with because you never know. It's not the booker or the agent probably that's going to get you that job. And in this case, it was an audio engineer that was recording some shows at Housing Works at Housing Works Books and Cafe in the Village that I would go there and they would record shows for a podcast. And he was also freelancing with NPR. And they asked his opinion of any someone that he thought might be good. So it was an audio engineer that got me the audition, that has the job, that gives my family health care.
Wow.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story.
That's a wonderful
Right?
story. And it's important for the people, especially the younger people that are watching that are comics. What you just said, you don't know, and you're right. It's not the booker, and it's not, because I've had similar situations where out of the blue they're like, "Oh, I saw you," or "This happened," and the lesson here is you got to be nice to everybody.
You got to be nice, and people talk.
Yeah.
My grandfather used to say, "Don't shit where you eat."
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know it's a little crude, but it stuck with me all. It's right. It's the truth. Be nice.
But I also think sometimes people think that they need to walk in and have some sort of bravado and I'm higher than this and you're lower status because you're here, and yeah, I mean you know, Carole, too, the bar, whoever's tending the bar is I think half the time that person ends up being a comedy booker.
Well, okay. Well, of course.
Rick Messina comes to mind.
Exactly.
That's right.
Rick Messina was the bartender at the Rainy Night House in Queens. This is going back early 80s. You were just a mere babe in the woods there, Ophira. But he ends up, of course, for people who don't know, ends up managing Drew Carey and Tim Allen.
Right.
Another one, a dear friend of mine, a gentleman named David Rath. He was the doorman at the Improv in Hollywood. You know David.
Chris Albrecht.
Are you kidding?
Chris Albrecht was the doorman at the Improv, right?
Yep.
Yeah, in New York.
And at one point, I was at the Improv when this happened too. He took a bunch of comics that the seasoned comics like Seinfeld and that whole crew, and he said, "I got a job with fledgling HBO who was looking for programming at that point." And he took all those people out there with him. Yeah. And they all got, wound up getting specials, and, the rest is rock and roll. But I mean, yeah. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. So, and I think it's the same. I think it's just always going to be like that.
Right. And it's a good lesson. It really, there's that old saying, the people you meet on the way up are the people you meet on the way down. And it's true. Because I've never liked, and there was I hate when people do the, well, do you know who I am? And I'm like, no, I don't. Jesse Curson just tweeted about, I guess, Bethany Frankel, who was one of those Real Housewives. She had tweeted something about Meghan Markle. It's a whole long thing, but Jessica tweeted at her saying, I was your warm-up act and you treated me like shit. That's basically the gist of the tweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for Jesse. But what's funny is that, of course, like a bunch of celebrity type of TV shows picked up that Jessica Curson warm-up comic disses, and it's like, well, no, and people are writing about this woman saying, well, that's what she was. She was well, you know who I am, and I'm like, don't do that. Don't do this. I hated that when I was a waitress, when somebody would do this to me, because then as soon as somebody did this to me while I was a waitress, I spit in their fucking soup.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, the nice thing about being way down like I am, like the bottom, is that there's a certain amount of schadenfreude you get when you see all these people that really got on your nerves, fall from grace, and they land next to you at the bottom, and you go, you ain't getting out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, ain't getting out.
But and getting back to what you were saying with the audio engineer, the reason we ended up doing Funny Women of a Certain Age at the Crane was that when we did do you remember the Cinderblock Festival that Corey Spencer had, that we had premiered there, and one of the girls who was a comic who was volunteering for our show, taking the tickets, she said, I work at the Crane. I really think my boss would like this. And that's how that happened.
Yeah. 100%.
It's always so that's the lesson for the people who are listening.
That's a lesson. Be nice to people.
So
whoever your person is
there something you'd like
Carole, you and I reconnected that way at the New York Comedy Club, because we went up for that. I hadn't seen you in so many years.
Which one?
Remember that thing for Joey Novik, that thing we were auditioning for? That's where we met again after all those years.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm glad it was so memorable.
I thought you and I reconnected at the gig with Rick Adana.
No, we went on. No, never mind. I'll tell you off camera.
It was for an older woman porn film, Ophira. That's why she doesn't want to tell you.
Ooh, nice.
So tell me, darling, please plug yourself. Tell the people where they can.
Sure, let's do some plugs. Ask Me Another is a comedy trivia show. We have new episodes every Friday, so you can listen to that on NPR, or you could just podcast it wherever you like podcasts. Zoom shows. Well, the advantage of a borderless Zoom world is that I am going to attempt headlining a Zoom show for Flappers Comedy Club in Los Angeles. So it's like I'm in Los Angeles, but I'll be in my house, and there'll be Pacific time people and Eastern time people, and maybe everyone in between. And I'm doing that on Friday, March 26th at 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. Yeah.
I see their shows all the time.
Julia, what do you have to plug, darling?
Well, I got the film Julia Scotty Funny That Way is airing now through the 21st at the Athena, ATHENA Comedy Festival. So it's on virtual. $12 for the tickets, you cheap bastards. So go buy a ticket. And I just happen to have this here. Hello, boys, I'm back. My CD. So buy it.
Buy it, because that's how we're living right now.
It's the only way I'm living right now.
Mailbox money. And I might as well plug more Funny Women of a Certain Age premiered today, the album on Pandora, and it'll be on Spotify. So go and listen to that, because then we make money that way. Oh, not Spotify, Sirius XM. I don't remember. There's too much streaming shit. Ophira, this was great. We'd love it. If you want to come back sometime, we'd love to have you. We could talk
anytime. I'm around.
Yeah, there's a million questions I have to ask about anthropology. So we didn't get
okay, you know what? I'm going to look through my old binders next time.
I do have questions. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
fascinating. So we will definitely
get
have you
into it.
back.
Okay.
And
Please
everyone,
bill me as the Margaret Mead of comedy.
I
because
will.
So funny.
It really is. It's perfect. It's so perfect.
I can't
All
believe
right.
you didn't jump on that when when you got into comedy. Yeah.
So
Seriously.
good. I mean, everyone knows that name.
Yeah, and people go, "Who's Margaret
So
Mead?"
good. It's so good.
So
Supposedly, by the way, Margaret Mead gossip is supposedly she was the one called true anthropologist that slept around. Just saying.
All right. See, look at
I
Julia.
missed that. What did she say? I couldn't
She
understand.
slept around. She
Margaret
slept around.
Mead?
Yeah, with all
So
the
did
other
Eleanor
anthropologists.
Roosevelt's a lesbian. So the whole world is upside down.
So, I know you're trying to rap. Okay.
No, it's okay. No, I'm having a ball. I cannot. I'm having more fun. We will have you back. I will. We'll get some dates in April or something. We will have you back.
Right.
Everyone out in the Facebook internet world, stay safe. Get vaccinated. Wear a mask. I love you, ladies. Stay safe.
You.
Bye.
Love you.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.